All right, Tariq Nasheed is at it again with another great documentary film. So let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my American Maroon documentary movie review. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Now again, this is being direct produced by Mr. Tariq Nasheed. This is his 8th documentary film, and I have all of his films right here. I have the whole collection. The only one I don't have is Dark Medicine, which I believe is a horror movie. I did not see that, but I do have the whole collection right here. Starting off with Hidden Colors 1, Hidden Colors 2, The Triumph of Melanin. Also Hidden Colors 3, The Rules of Racism. Hidden Colors 4, The Religion of White Supremacy, one of my favorites. We have Hidden Colors 5, The Art of Black Warfare. 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti, another one of my favorites, and also Buck Breaking. And just to let you know, guys, I have reviewed a number of these films on my channel. If you do want to go check that out, here they are right here. Here's a trailer reaction for American Maroon. I did review Buck Breaking about 5 months ago. I didn't review this one when it first came out, and I'll tell you guys why. Here's another trailer reaction. Here's my review for 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti, which I did 5 years ago, right there, 5 years ago, and also Hidden Colors 5, which I did 3 years ago. So I have been reviewing this man's films for quite some time. I haven't reviewed all of them, but you know, I've gotten at least 3 or 4 under my belt. And the reason why I didn't review Buck Breaking initially when it first came out is for 2 reasons. One is because the topic was just so sensitive, and I knew that it would just upset a lot of people, and I didn't want the smoke, just to be honest with you. And also, it just wasn't my favorite, and I didn't want to talk negatively about a Black independent film. I still reviewed it, so you guys can go check it out. I mean, it's a good film, but it's just not his best, in my opinion. But we're definitely going to be talking about where American Maroon ranks among all of his films in the collection that I have right here. Now, my expectations for this film were pretty high. I have enjoyed majority of his films. They are really, really good given their budget and the production that goes into it. And plus, when I reacted to the trailers, they did look great. I'm also just trying to learn as much as I can about my history that is not taught in public schools or in the mainstream media from an unapologetic Black outlet, and Tariq Nasheed is good for that. I'm not saying that the man is the end-all be-all, but he does make great documentary films. I do enjoy them. And if you're not a big reader, which I suggest everyone should be, you know, a quick documentary is a great way to consume some information quickly. However, how I feel about all documentaries, no matter what the topic is, to motivate you to do even further research on your own. And I will say, after watching this film, American Maroon, it definitely does motivate me to learn more about the subject matter. But before I get into all the nitty-gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this American Maroon documentary film is all about. From the producer of the critically acclaimed documentary films Hidden Colors, 1804, and Buck Breaking, Tariq Nasheed presents the film American Maroon. American Maroon is a groundbreaking documentary film about the foundational Black American rebel fighters who freed themselves during former slavery in America. For centuries, enslaved Black people fought the oppressive forces in America while finding sanctuary in swamps and other Maroon communities. American Maroon reveals the untold history of these unsung freedom fighters and how their legacy is alive today. All right, the first thing that I really liked about this documentary is the length. This thing is nearly 3 hours long, coming in at right around 2 hours and 53 minutes, and that is Tariq Nasheed's longest documentary to date. And what's great about that is it does give you a ton of information that you can watch over and over and over again, and it really not get old to you because it's just that much. I also like the cast that he was able to round up to film this documentary. Some of these experts you've seen before in previous films from Tariq Nasheed, and some are new. They range from Vicky Dillard, Dr. Oya Mott, Professor James Small, Dr. Phil Valentine, Chase McGee, who is new for me, Dr. Randy Short, Dr. Tavia Jackson, she's new for me as well, Marissa Reeves, Dr. Anthony Dixon, Paul and Phil Moreland, Dr. Kaba Kamen, Dr. Clyde Winters, Dr. Keno Miller, Dr. Nia Vaz, Sister Pat, and Shareem Shabazz. And if I left anybody out, I do apologize. And of course, we can't forget Tariq Nasheed. And I will go ahead and say, guys, overall, I really did enjoy this documentary. I can tell that Tariq Nasheed really did put his foot in this and make the best production that he possibly can. The production quality has actually increased from his last two films, and that was noticeable from the first few minutes, and it carried on throughout the rest of the documentary. The reason why I say that is Hidden Colors 4, The Religion of White Supremacy, in 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti. Those were two of my favorite out of the 7 or 8 documentary films that Tariq Nasheed did. I did enjoy Hidden Colors 5 and also Buck Breaking, but not so much. There were some things with the editing that I just really wasn't going with, and also the pacing, and there's just a number of things that I don't really want to get into. But I did notice that the production quality did dip a bit in those films. Now, I'm not trying to beat up on Tariq. I know that he is a small independent producer / director, but once you have a certain standard, you expect that to be even exceeded in the future or met. And I didn't really think that was the case with Hidden Colors 5 or Buck Breaking. Not saying that they were complete crap, they just wasn't at the standards that he set before. But I will go ahead and say that with American Maroons, not only did he meet those same standards that he set with Hidden Colors 4 in 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti, I believe that he succeeded in that, and also this may be the best out of the whole bunch, out of the whole series. And I don't know why this is standing out to me so much, because he did this in Buck Breaking as well, but majority of the filming, majority of the shots in American Maroons was taken outside on some type of park bench, and I don't know why, but for some reason that really just gave a lot of life to this documentary and raised your spirits, or at least it did for me. And when I'm doing a movie review or a documentary review, I usually talk about all the positives first, and then I save my negatives for the end, but I'm going to do something different right here and talk about some of my negatives or criticisms first, and then we can go ahead and get to the good stuff. Now, this documentary did start out great, but the reason why I'm starting out with the negatives, while this was great information, I kind of felt that the first hour or so, or at least the first 45 minutes of this documentary, was repeating information that Tariq Nasheed has already dished to us in the past with this first documentary film, Hidden Colors 1, The Untold History of People of Aboriginal, Moor, and African Descent. Now, it wasn't just a carbon copy exact dumpage of dialogue from that film, but a lot of the material is just the same. And while it still was different, I was taking it in. I was just kind of saying to myself, okay, Tariq, I'm about 45 minutes into this documentary. I hope that you're not getting over on people and just kind of repeating information that we got before. But you have to be patient because it will pay off. However, during this time, I'm not saying that the information was useless. It was still great. It's some of the stuff we've got before, but from a completely different perspective, and it does dive a bit deeper than it did in Hidden Colors 1, in my opinion. It just kind of goes into information on who were the original native people in America. In history or school today, we're taught that the original Aboriginal or Native Americans in this country look like this, the red Mongolian phenotype. And that's just not the case. Yes, those people were here, but it does go into the history of how they got here, and that there were dark-skinned Aboriginal people here well before Christopher Columbus came over in 1492. They also get into this book right here just a little bit, and not into the book specifically, but this image. I know a lot of people have seen this before, by Ivan Van Sertima, on just how black people were native to this land well before Christopher Columbus got here, like I said. And that the history that we learn in school always starts with 1492 of how we came over here on slave ships, but it never talks about how we were native to this land or what happened before 1492. And at least the first hour or so in this documentary does dive into that, giving you perspectives that you probably never received from the mainstream media. And what I also like that you're never going to get in mainstream media is not only were copper tone or black dark-skinned people here on the west side before Christopher Columbus got here, we were both in North and South America, and a lot in Brazil as well. And that there's just so much information and history and data that's hidden from us, that Africans were going back and forth from the west over to the east, back and forth for quite some time, well before white people got involved. I never even heard this before, and I definitely want to look into it. There was a specific point in the documentary towards the beginning where they said that researchers found mummies in Egypt that had cocaine in the body. And I forgot exactly the reason why. It was constructive, But it goes on to say that cocaine was not found in Africa or over in the East. That was only found in South America. So that if you find that in Egypt, that is some evidence of how there was a bunch of traffic going back and forth well before Columbus got involved. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the way they dived into that in this documentary was very, very insightful. And of course, it goes into how the Moors ruled Spain for around 700 years and how they was eventually booted out. And yes, some people may not have heard that before, but that has been talked about a number of times in Tariq Nasheed's past documentaries. And while again, it was great information, I was kind of saying to myself, okay, hopefully this American Maroon documentary is just not a repeat from the past. But like I said before, you just have to be patient. But that was the only thing that I really didn't care for in this documentary. Was early on, I was just kind of saying to myself, man, like, why are we getting repeated information? But if you're patient, it'll pay off and tie all in together with what we're about to get next. But before I go there, something else that I want to talk about as far as the production quality of this film is the reenactment scenes. Now, again, early on, it wasn't the best. They were trying to show some Seminoles and American Maroons that escaped from slavery, that was trying to create their own communities and settlements, and how they was chopping off wood. Those reenactment scenes were a little mid, but that was only a fraction of all of them. The rest of the reenactment scenes for the duration of the documentary was superb. I really did like them. They stood out a lot in 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti, and they stood out a bit more in this one right here. Some people may consider it corny when they're getting to the battle and the war scenes, but I liked them a lot. I felt the energy, I felt the passion, and it just really felt true and real to me, even on a small budget, but I really did enjoy them. And not just the battle scenes, them just trying to act or play out a scene or showing a general walk across the field with his chest up and shoulders back, trying to assert dominance over slaves or his captors or something like that. I really did enjoy that. And you know, they did a great job with the costume design, makeup, and all that good stuff. It was really entertaining. And so I got to give it to Tariq Nasheed there as well. The editing in this is superb too. I love all the paintings and the illustrations and the maps and the images that he used to depict everything that was going on, and also his commentary to back that up. Everything came through crisp and clear, and of course it was very easy to follow. Some of the information was shocking. I had to take it back a number of times, but it was all very enjoyable. My only other critique, I guess, is sometimes I wish I could turn on subtitles, but that really wasn't an option, or maybe he can include that in some of his future films, but it's kind of a small gripe. But in addition to all that, some of the best parts of the documentary came from then on, from an hour to the end of this documentary, when they started talking about the Seminole Wars that took place in the Carolinas, in Georgia, but mainly in Florida during the years of around 1815 to 1855 or 1858, a few years before the Civil War. I find that to be very, very entertaining. A lot of you people out there may already know about this, and sometimes in my comment section, a lot of you people, you know, you already know this, and you know, you can trace your lineage back and all that, and that's great because I saw your comments in my trailer reactions. But all of this right here, I was really, really into leaning over on my couch with my elbow on my knee and my hand on my chin, leaning forward, listening like this, because it was very, very educational. I really did enjoy everything. And it really does raise your spirits, because we have been taught or conditioned to believe that all of our ancestors was weak and didn't fight back and are docile and just forgive, praise white Jesus, white Jesus, white Jesus. And that's just not the case. They don't want us, or the dominant society, the mainstream media, does not want us to know these stories of our ancestors fighting back and choosing freedom over death. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to be motivated. They don't want our spirits to be roused. They want us to be weak and docile. But this documentary does raise your spirits a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I do love it, because it really does get into the nitty-gritty. I also love the score of this. I mean, some of the beats in this film made it seem like the latest Marvel superhero film, and it'll really get your blood pumping. Now, I do apologize if I do get this incorrect, but they was using the word maroon or American Maroon and Seminoles a lot in this film, and they was interchanging them back and forth. And to my understanding, they're kind of one and the same thing. But Maroons are descendants of Africans in America that, you know, was runaways. They escaped from slavery and wanted to create their own territories or their own communities, and how they fought back and were just trying to, you know, fight for justice. And I love everything about that. And one of the most fascinating parts was the story of Andrew Jackson, who was the 7th president of the country. Of course, we all know that, but was a general before that. He was just a super duper racist white supremacist, and how he just didn't want to accept the fact that, hey, this is, you know, not an Indian war, this is a Negro war. We was kicking ass, and I did not know that, you know, these black Seminoles, these black American Maroons was kicking ass this way. But during that time in the 19th century, during the early 1800s, slaves, black men and women, were escaping from slavery, going down south, going through Georgia. And there were some treaties at the time. I believe one was the 1719 treaties. I can't remember, but we were basically teaming up with a lot of the natives, the Red Seminoles, and saying that, hey, if you can escape to Florida, you will be free. If you escape to Florida and you help us fight the British and help us fight the white supremacists, you will be free. A lot of this documentary talked about some of the Native Americans, the Red Mongolian Indians were cool, and we was able to work with them, and how some of them wasn't cool, and how some of them betrayed us and turned their back on us, and how there was camaraderie, and, you know, how that diffused, and how we came together, and, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and how I just went back and forth over the years. And all this hidden history that I was not aware of. Now, of course, I could have looked a number of these things up by myself as I was growing up, but I love the presentation that was delivered through this documentary film. I mean, it was just fantastic to hear about all of these black people that was fighting back and was winning and kicking America's butt, kicking the American government's butt. They also kind of related this guerrilla warfare tactics to how America was getting their butt kicked in the war of Vietnam as well. And I also like the way that Tariq Nasheed was able to take all these stories and relate them to movies that we know in Hollywood right now called Rambo with Sylvester Stallone, and also Avatar. The way he was able to tie that in with guerrilla warfare was very, very nice. That was a very nice touch. Icing on the cake, cherry on top, all that good stuff. That was very, very insightful. And while I was complaining earlier about how the first 45 minutes to an hour of this film was kind of a repeat of what we got before in his previous documentary films, he was able to link the information of how the American Maroons or Black Seminoles related to the Moors back in the day and how they ruled Spain with the colors of their flag in Morocco, the fezzes, and how during this time in the 1800s, the Maroons, the Seminoles, would have red bandanas, red handkerchiefs, red headbands, all of that stuff. And so I liked the way he was able to tie that in and make it all relate. That was very insightful and a perspective that I've never seen before. So I got to give him 2 thumbs up right there, because again, I was getting frustrated at first, but I like the way he kind of tied all that in together. So great job there. But he really did get into the details, because when these black men and women were free in Florida, they overtook a fort and called it Fort Negro. And the white supremacists, they couldn't have this. They was like, man, if they're going to be able to create their own fort, eventually they're going to create a nation. And they won that one of the Seminole Wars by luck, by firing a cannon. And I don't want to just experience it in the documentary itself. But I was just saying to myself, gosh, dog it, this is so unfortunate. I'm really depressed right now. I mean, I'm lifted, but I'm just so sad that, you know, we were so close to freedom in a way. And actually, it talks about how in this documentary, how we were, some of the Seminoles were actually the first Black Americans to fight for their freedom. They don't teach that in public schools, but what is his name? I have it written down right here. General Jessup kept reneging on the deal and saying, okay, hey, and teaming up with Andrew Jackson as well as this other guy, General Wiley Thompson, just like, okay, we're tired of losing. We're tired of y'all kicking y'all butt. We're going to make this deal with you. Y'all are free. We ain't going to try to enslave you, but you got to leave Florida. Won't you migrate over here to Oklahoma? But when they got to Oklahoma, it wasn't the same rules, and they kept trying to get enslaved, and people kept coming into the territories. And so some of the Seminoles will have to migrate down south even further into Texas, crossed over to Mexico, and then teamed up with them and be like, okay, we can guard the Mexican border for you. And it was so much information, but I was loving it all. However, I also love the way they highlighted some of the Black American heroes that we've never heard of before, and also other Native Americans by the name of John Horse and Osceola. I want to learn so much about these figures right here. And the way Tariq Nasheed and his team was able to film John Horse in this film, in this documentary, was epic. It was legendary. I loved it. They just had this big tall, swole black man, all the muscles, with his vest on, with his markings, and just his whole garb, just walking in slow-mo with the music in the background. Yes, this is John Horse. He was a black Seminole warrior, and he led this, and he was basically a badass, you know, and I've never heard of this man before. And he just talked about how he was able to fight off the white supremacists for years and lived out a long life and really just saved a lot of lives and freed a lot of slaves. And I was just shook there, like, wow, why don't I know about this man more? I want to learn as much as I can. And I'm going to be Googling and researching and reading all about this guy because I want to learn about him. And they also have this other native chief by the name of Osiello as well, who was kind of down for the cause too. Now, I didn't like him as much as John Horse, but he was still cool as hell. But what I really do like about this documentary is how it went into detail explaining how the Maroon, the spirit, is still alive today in Black America, and how it didn't just stop in the 1800s, how it transformed to generation, how the descendants of Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, those are the descendants of the Maroons. And they went and told a side of the story that we still don't hear today. A lot of people are just now learning about Black Wall Street in Oklahoma and how it was bombed and how they lied and said that a black man or a black boy attacked a woman in the elevator, and that wasn't true. I thought I knew a good amount of that still just from a number of years ago, but this documentary went even deeper, just showing how we was able to fight back and repel the white supremacists, and how those people were descendants from the Maroons, and how that spirit is still alive today in Black Lives Matter, the movement, not the organization, and the Black Panthers. And also just after MLK was assassinated in '68, a lot of people don't know that 100 cities across the United States were just lit up in flame because Black people were just so upset and just so tired of it. They make it seem like we got civil rights because your boy got beat on the bridge, and that's not the case. They just go further into that, and the American Maroons and how that spirit is still alive today, and I loved it. And at the end of this documentary, it's always motivational. It's always very inspirational, and it will give you advice. It gives you a code of conduct and questions that you need to ask yourself in the mirror on how to move forward, applying logic and not emotion. I like that a lot. That section of this documentary was led by this new sister who is not too familiar to me, Dr. Atavia Jackson. I love the way she articulated everything. She was fierce in everything that she was saying, but not too militant at the same time, very feminine as well. And the reason why I say that is it'll be very palatable for people that necessarily don't think like the people that think in this documentary, that I guess are not woke, I guess, because I really hate that term, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. But I love pretty much every portion of this documentary, except for the first part at first. I didn't like it at first, but in the middle and towards the end, the way Tariq Nasheed was able to tie everything in together like a pretty red bow, I loved it. I loved it. This is actually one of my favorites. But guys, I am motivated to learn more about the American Maroons and the Black Seminoles and John Horse and all of these Black people that fought back. I mean, this documentary was very informative, and I'm going to be watching it again a number of times because it was just that good to me. Again, it is one of his best. This right now is available on his streaming site, fbastream.com. And I will say, guys, I went ahead and created an account for this. You get a free 3-day trial, and then after that, it is $8.99 a month. Now, I will say this. To me, that's a hell of a great deal, because if you just pay $8.99 for 1 month, $9, you get access to all of his films. That's Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You also get 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti, Buck Breaking, and this new film, American Maroons. You get to watch all of his content is on there for $9. And not only that, you also get some of his comedy stuff. And I know some of you may not care about this. I mean, he's, Tariq Nasheed to be joking around, and he can be petty sometime, but he got the animated series right here of Bucci Bear. Some of y'all may not find that funny. The whole Crispy Puppet series, he got that, and some trailers, from the movies. But he also has some lecture series. The Rally for Reparations was pretty good. I did watch that. His FBA conference, Code of Conduct, Breaking the Cycle. I haven't even seen all of these, but all of this is available. Like all of his films right here. You get all this right here for $9. And his reality show. So I'm just pubbing this dude right now. I mean, this is a lot of content for $9. You can watch all of this in a month. 8 films and this lecture series, you do one a day. Or, I mean, come on. I'm just saying, if you know, because he used to sell these DVDs like $20, $25, $30 a pop. Now you can pay $9 and get it all in 1 month. I don't know. That's a good deal for me. But if I had to rate American Maroons out of 1 out of 10, I give it a 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10. But also, guys, check out my buck breaking review right here on my channel. Also, check out my 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti review. And also check out my Hidden Colors 5 review. Also, other films and television shows that I reviewed and recapped on my channel recently include the Season 2 of Bel-Air, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3, Snowfall Season 6, Episode 6, Creed 3, Amazon Prime series film Swarm with Dominique Fishback. And for those that are also interested in the Oscars, with that just premiering a couple of weeks ago, Turning Red, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar The Way of Water, The Whale, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Banshees of Inisherin, Triangle of Sadness, Elvis, Tar, Causeway, and the film that won it all, Best Picture, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And I also have a live recap of the Oscars winners and losers. A link to all that will be in the description box below and also the pinned comments. And do you guys want me to review Hidden Colors 3, Hidden Colors 4, maybe the Melanin Code? Yeah, I've seen that as well. Y'all want me to review that as well? Let me know, let me know, let me know. Also, if you do subscribe to my channel, guys, you're going to get movie reviews. You're going to get interviews, spoiler movie reviews, series reviews, weekly movie news roundup show. I'm going to be recapping Bel-Air Season 2, trailer reactions, also Snowfall Season 6. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace out. I'll see you next time. And go ahead and subscribe and help me reach 50,000 subscribers. See you next time.